In May 2025, the Supreme Court of India delivered a significant judgment regarding alternative relief under the Specific Relief Act 1963. This judgment has been hailed as a turning point in the interpretation of the law, particularly in the context of property disputes and contract enforcement. The court pronounced that it cannot, on its own accord, grant a refund of earnest money. This decision underscores the judiciary's commitment to adhering strictly to the letter of the law, ensuring that justice is not only done but seen to be done within the legal framework. This ruling has far-reaching implications for property disputes and contract enforcement. It sends a clear message to all parties involved in legal agreements that they must be precise and explicit in their contractual terms and legal prayers. It underscores the importance of specific prayers in legal pleadings. Lawyers and litigants must ensure that their requests for relief are clearly articulated and supported by the necessary legal provisions. This essay delves into the details of this landmark judgment, examining its basis and significance. We will explore the legal reasoning behind the court's decision and its potential impact on future cases. The Supreme Court's decision stemmed from the case of K.R. Suresh vs. R. Purnima and Ors. This case has become a cornerstone in the legal landscape, providing clarity on the application of the Specific Relief Act. This case involved a property sale agreement gone awry. The dispute arose when the terms of the agreement were not honored, leading to a legal battle that culminated in this landmark judgment. The court's interpretation of Section 22 of the Specific Relief Act 1963 in this context has set a clear precedent. This interpretation will guide future cases involving similar disputes. The judgment emphasizes the need for litigants to be diligent and specific in their requests for relief from the courts. It highlights the importance of thorough preparation and precise legal drafting. This ruling serves as a stark reminder that courts, while being dispensers of justice, operate within the framework of law. They are bound by the statutes and cannot overstep their jurisdiction. They cannot act as benevolent benefactors, granting reliefs that haven't been sought. This principle ensures that the legal process remains fair and predictable. The principle of law aids the vigilant, not those who sleep over their rights, finds clear expression in this judgment. It encourages parties to be proactive in protecting their legal interests. The judgment further clarifies the court's position on Suo Moto actions in such situations. It delineates the boundaries within which the court can act on its own initiative. While courts possess inherent powers to act in the interest of justice, these powers are not boundless. They must be exercised with caution and within the limits set by law. They are exercised judiciously and within the confines of legal provisions. This ensures that the judiciary remains a pillar of fairness and integrity. The K.R. Suresh case exemplifies this principle in action. It stands as a testament to the importance of clarity, precision, and adherence to legal norms in the pursuit of justice. The case that led to this landmark judgment, K.R. Suresh vs. R. Purnima and Ors, revolved around a property dispute. In 2007, the appellant, K.R. Suresh, entered into a sale agreement with the respondents, R. Purnima and others. The agreement pertained to the purchase of a property. As is standard practice, Suresh paid an amount of 20 lakhs as earnest money to secure the deal. This earnest money, a common feature in property transactions, serves as a guarantee. It assures the seller that the buyer is serious about the purchase. In case the buyer fails to fulfill his obligations under the agreement, the seller is entitled to forfeit this amount. This forfeiture clause acts as a deterrent against buyers defaulting on their commitments. The agreement stipulated that Suresh was to pay the balance sale consideration within a specified time frame. However, he failed to do so. This breach of contract on his part gave the respondents the legal right to terminate the sale agreement. Consequently, they exercised this right and forfeited the earnest money paid by Suresh. The forfeiture of earnest money is a common contractual stipulation in property dealings. It serves as a predetermined remedy for the seller in case of a breach by the buyer. This provision aims to compensate the seller for the potential loss incurred due to the buyer's non-performance. Courts generally uphold such clauses unless they are found to be unconscionable or against public policy. In this particular case, the court examined the terms of the agreement and the actions of both parties. The court found that the forfeiture clause was reasonable and not excessive. As a result, the court upheld the respondent's right to forfeit the earnest money. This case serves as a reminder of the importance of adhering to contractual obligations in property transactions. It underscores the significance of earnest money as a safeguard for sellers and a commitment from buyers. When K.R. Suresh failed to pay the remaining sale consideration within the stipulated time, he breached the terms of the agreement. This non-performance had significant legal repercussions. The respondents, armed with the forfeiture clause in the agreement, were well within their rights to terminate the deal. Suresh, finding himself in a predicament, approached the court. However, his plea was not for the specific performance of the agreement, which he had failed to honor. Instead, he sought a refund of the forfeited earnest money. This move formed the crux of the matter that the Supreme Court ultimately adjudicated. The respondents contested Suresh's claim, arguing that his failure to fulfill his contractual obligations justified the forfeiture. They highlighted that the earnest money acted as a security for their losses due to his breach. The respondents further argued that Suresh, having failed to perform his part of the bargain, was not entitled to any relief from the court. This case brought to the fore the legal principle of pacta sunt servanda, a Latin phrase meaning agreements must be kept. The respondents, by upholding their end of the bargain and subsequently terminating the agreement due to Suresh's breach, were essentially asserting this principle. The case highlighted the sanctity of contracts and the consequences of their breach. The dispute between K.R. Suresh and R. Purnima and Orsa first went before the trial court. This case revolved around a sale agreement where Suresh had paid an earnest money deposit but failed to complete the payment within the agreed time frame. After hearing the arguments from both sides, the trial court ruled in favor of the respondents. The court found that the terms of the contract were clear and that Suresh had indeed breached the agreement by not fulfilling his financial obligations on time. The court upheld the forfeiture of the earnest money, recognizing the validity of the forfeiture clause in the sale agreement. This clause was a critical part of the contract, designed to protect the seller in case of a breach. Aggrieved by the trial court's decision, Suresh appealed to the Karnataka High Court. He believed that the forfeiture was unjust and sought a reversal of the lower court's ruling. He hoped for a favorable ruling that would overturn the lower court's judgment and grant him the refund he sought. Suresh's legal team argued that the forfeiture was excessive and not in line with the principles of fairness. However, the High Court concurred with the trial court's assessment of the case. The judges found no reason to deviate from the original decision, as the breach of contract was evident and the forfeiture clause was enforceable. The High Court, in its decision, emphasized the importance of adhering to contractual obligations. It stressed that contracts are binding agreements and that parties must honor their commitments. It held that Suresh's failure to pay the full sale consideration within the stipulated time constituted a breach of contract. This breach was not a minor oversight, but a significant failure to meet the agreed terms. This breach, the court ruled, justified the respondent's action of terminating the agreement and forfeiting the earnest money. The forfeiture was deemed a fair consequence for the breach. The concurrent decisions of both the trial court and the High Court underscored a crucial legal point. Courts are bound to uphold valid contractual agreements. This consistency in rulings reinforced the principle that contracts must be respected. Forfeiture clauses, being common and generally enforceable provisions in such agreements, are not to be disregarded lightly. They serve as a deterrent against breaches and ensure that parties take their contractual obligations seriously. These rulings served as a reminder that contractual breaches have consequences and parties cannot expect to renege on their obligations without facing repercussions. Upholding such clauses ensures fairness and accountability in contractual relationships. In this part, we'll dive into an important aspect of the legal process. You see, the Supreme Court has made it clear that there is no relief without a plea. This means that in order to seek any form of relief or leniency, a defendant must first enter a plea. It's a crucial step in the judicial system that ensures every case is handled with due process. Without this plea, the courts are essentially unable to move forward with any potential relief measures, so it's like a fundamental requirement in the pursuit of justice. All right, let's take a closer look at the implications of this ruling. This decision by the Supreme Court has far-reaching consequences, impacting not just the parties involved, but also setting a precedent for future cases. It's essential to understand how the court arrived at its decision and the legal reasoning behind it. In the case of Manikam at Thandapani versus Vasantha, the court's ruling was particularly significant. This case highlighted the importance of adhering to procedural requirements and ensuring that all necessary documentation is in order. The court emphasized that any deviation from established procedures could lead to a dismissal of the case. The ruling reinforces a timeless legal principle, the necessity of clear and unambiguous pleadings. This principle has been a cornerstone of our legal system for centuries, ensuring that all parties have a fair opportunity to present their case. By upholding this principle, the Supreme Court ensures that justice is not only done but is seen to be done. When seeking specific relief, clarity in pleadings is an absolute must. The court made it clear that vague or ambiguous pleadings would not suffice. This requirement ensures that the court can accurately assess the merits of the case and deliver a just verdict. So it's crucial for legal practitioners to draft their pleadings with precision and clarity.